Series on the backyard poultry and backyard urban chickens. My name is Paul Oak. I'm from Jones Feed Mills, and this is my guest, Elaine Klesser. She is from Kitchener Urban Hens, and we're going to talk today a little bit about raising backyard chickens, kind of the opening steps. So, for our first video, we're going to talk about why you would want to raise backyard chickens. And for anyone who's interested in raising their own backyard chickens, there's a lot of good reasons for doing so. For some people, it could be something as simple as a natural extension in their sustainable living. The reasons are different for everyone and why they do it, but the common theme is that anyone wanting to raise their own backyard chickens has to come to a personal decision that it is right for them to do. First of all, we're going to go through a few of the main reasons why you would want to raise backyard chickens, and I'm going to have Elaine talk on a couple of things here, starting with the reason a lot of people do it is for the eggs.
We all love our pets. We have dogs and cats and fish and hamsters. They're all wonderful pets. We have a dog of our own. But I found with chickens, we found it was wonderful to have a pet that actually pays for itself. Not only are they low maintenance, but they give us fresh eggs every morning. And the eggs taste wonderful. They're far beyond the taste of the eggs you get in the store, in part because of their freshness. Eggs in the store unfortunately have to go through the middleman, so they can take several weeks to get to the store. Whereas when you have backyard hens, they're coming right from the backyard and you're eating them sometimes when they're only hours old. So this definitely improves the quality and the freshness of the egg. You'll even notice it in the color of the yolk, which is a deeper orange, as opposed to ones in the store, which are sometimes a paler yellow. Also, we have a conversation going on behind us. But also is the fact that they are low maintenance pets. They don't require a lot of care, they don't require brushing, they don't require walking. You just need to be able to make sure that they have enough food every day and that they have enough fresh water. And it takes minutes a day, a couple times a year you just have to clean out the coop. So it's a wonderful low maintenance pet.
And you mentioned about chickens having tremendous personalities to me earlier, and wondered if you could kind of expand on that.
Yeah, I never expected this. When I got into backyard hens, I knew nothing about them. Like most city dwellers who grew up in downtown London, they are amazing creatures with amazing personalities. Each one has its own personality. You have, of course, pecking order, which I didn't understand at the time. So you have the hen at the top, which is the strongest personality and has control of the flock. You have escape artists. We have one who, if there's a way out of her coop, she can find it. They actually have something like 30 different tones to communicate with each other, and they teach their young how to behave. So, rather than sitting in front of the TV, come out and watch your chickens. It is amazing. They have arguments, they play together. Every day is different when you're watching your chickens.
Now, I know you'd mentioned to me too a little bit earlier that it's more of a positive step towards sustainable living. I know a lot of people find it disconcerting how far our society has come away from the animals and plants that we need to survive. We have a very fast-paced society, and it seems like that seems to draw us away from this. So keeping a few chickens in your backyard is a forward step in the right direction. How many, you might ask? Well, there's a few things. You get a wonderful compost pile from it. Composting is a great way to reduce your ecological footprint. Chicken manure creates a wonderful nitrogen-rich compost pile. Eggshells are a great addition to that compost pile, and you end up with a nice, rich, almost black gold type of soil, which is wonderful too. It also creates a healthy lawn without chemicals. The hens love to eat all types of garden pests, earwigs, grubs, beetles, that type of thing. They love to eat grass as well, and they turn all that food into a tremendous rich fertilizer as well. And then also they tend to feast on man's leftovers as well, and maybe Elaine could expand on that as well.
They are great compost. It never dawned on me in a million years how much exactly they eat. They love any kind of vegetable. They love fruits. We just tend to avoid things that are citrus because they're very acidic and can hurt their belly. They love yogurt. They love cheese. They love cereal. Pretty much anything that comes out of your kitchen. There are a few exceptions, like I said, anything that's acidic. There's controversy over potato peels, whether you should give them to them. But other than that, anything that comes out of your kitchen, as long as it's not rotten, you can give to your hens, and they pay you back with eggs.
And leaves and weeds and grass clippings, that type of thing, are also a great treat for chickens. They happily dig through them and take whatever you give them. They'll pretty much eat and pulverize the rest, and what you end up with in about a week's time is all the yard and garden waste is gone, and you have that wonderful rich fertilizer that we talked about a bit earlier. And you also mentioned earlier about definition of low maintenance, the fact that they didn't need to be walked or brushed like you would with a dog or cat, so they're very low maintenance pet. And what about building a relationship with your neighbors with hens? Well, maybe you could expand a little bit on that too.
Hens are a great way to get people talking, neighbors talking. They're so unusual in the city still at this point. A lot of people are surprised when they realize you have hens, and so next thing you know, you'll have them bringing their kids over and their grandkids over, and they will come and visit on a semi-regular basis as they want to find out how their hen is doing, their favorite hen is doing. We had one friend whose house backed onto a green space, and people would come by every day, and when their favorite hen was missing, they would ask in concern, where is she? It's like, oh, she's broody. She's in the coop right now. But it got people talking. It got people discussing more really about where things come from and where their food comes from, and it got people talking with each other when they normally would not have probably started that conversation.
And it's also a great way too to teach your kids and to work with your kids as far as teaching them where their food sources come from and the commitment. I'm assuming too.
Yes.
There's a lot of commitment to it as well, despite the fact that they are low maintenance. Correct?
Yes. Any pet has a commitment of time and money, but definitely it teaches your kids where their food comes from. You talk to a lot of kids, especially the younger ones, and you ask them where their food comes from, and they look at you dumbfounded and say, from the grocery store. Which is, I suppose, true, but it comes to the grocery store from somewhere else. And so this gives kids a chance to see that, yes, in this case, their eggs do come from chickens, and that the better you treat them, the healthier the eggs are. And it's something that really helps them learn and appreciate their food more and learn to respect animals. And you can add in educational lessons, send the kids out to collect the eggs and ask them how many eggs there are. My 5-year-old started learning how to count when you would ask him, okay, how many eggs do we have today? And he has to count out one at a time. So there's a whole bevy of valuable lessons that your children can learn from having chickens.
Wonderful. And for someone like yourself, it's definitely been, you said it's been a learning experience, especially over the last year since you kind of got into this. For people like such as yourself, backyard chickens are wonderful. However, backyard chickens are not for everyone, and we're going to go through that in our next video number 2 as part of our series.